Well, cheers.
I'm ready to
I usually
eat.
cheers when we start. Well, thanks for sitting with me, Olivia.
No problem.
So Olivia Chow is, I know Olivia from university. We took the Bachelor of Fine Arts program together at the University of Alberta. And she moved back to Hong Kong. How many years has it been?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. So that kind of dates us a little, I guess. But
No, it doesn't.
So she's been in Hong Kong, and she's now here in Edmonton, doing a residency at the John and Maggie Mitchell Gallery at Grant MacEwan. And if you haven't been to that gallery yet, it's in the Allard Hall at the Grant MacEwan, the new building downtown. And she's doing a residency for, I guess it's a month long?
Mm-hmm.
So June 11th to the 13th of July, is that right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what I like to talk about is kind of the process of like how you start a project and sort of how you move through that that sort of exercise of starting something.
Sure. Well, it started with finding out the call online for the gallery. It's their very first residency, and it was sort of like the idea was quite exciting because it was an opportunity to come back to Edmonton, and that also connected to a project I did in 2016, which is called Thanksgiving 1901, which is the very first project I did when I moved back to Hong Kong. It was about leaving Canada, leaving my dad's birth home in Estevan, Saskatchewan, and also sort of like a pause or sort of goodbye to Canadian traditions, such as Thanksgiving itself. And that was something I did in Hong Kong at Nomad Gallery. And after that project, I wasn't really sure what to do next. And now that I'm back to Hong Kong, so what's next? And then I sort of put that Canada past to the side for a bit and then just worked on other things. And so when I saw the call, it made sense to continue the project by coming back.
So food and the politics of food is a huge part in your practice, and sort of the colonization of food is a topic that you kind of revisit every once in a while, and kind of you come back to it and maybe move away and come back. I should probably explain we're at a restaurant right now. We have food in front of us. We're hungry. Yeah. We should probably just eat.
Yeah.
We have some cilantro cakes in front of us. But yeah, I think it's interesting that you chose to kind of sit with me at a restaurant because it is a big part of your practice. But I was interested in the fact that the domestic side of like cooking and sharing stories with people and that kind of stuff. So how do you sort of bring that into your practice with like the domestic side? You're doing a performance where you put a call out for anyone that wants to invite you into their home to cook for you, right? And it's families of color specifically. You chose that. And have you done one yet?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Done some, and also there's a few more coming up. I am looking for more families. It's been really interesting. People talk about the food, and then immediately they jump into what that reminds them of, and then they sort of go back to like how, for example, like if they were Vietnamese, they would say, "Oh, this is like what we eat in Vietnam," and I don't know. It's been really nice to see how people make relations that way, and also everyone would ask, "So what should I make?" I'm like, well, you have the answer. You just need to go with your gut and do that, and I think that ties into how people think if they're Canadian enough or if they're of other descent, but do they feel more of whichever side, and
I guess a big part of it is like, who are they hosting? So if they're hosting someone that is from Canada or something, maybe they would think different as to what they would make.
Yeah.
So if they have a traditional dish that, like a Vietnamese dish, if we're talking Vietnamese, maybe it has like different flavors that maybe a North American palate wouldn't really like understand or be like kosher to. Like they wouldn't like maybe even like it, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe that there's some anxieties there with like, well, what should I make? Because if I make something, I want you to like it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to go home unsatisfied or like not liking it at all or not being able to eat any of it if there's allergies or anything. Yes, thank you. So yeah, I guess a lot of it has to do with kind of who they're inviting into their home.
Yeah, that and also, I guess so. I think for me it's more because I'm not like, obviously I'm Canadian of Chinese descent, so then they would then like that anxiety would be different.
There's a lot of bell peppers in here.
I know it is. Just all this food is really distracting. I think politics of food. I think I'm curious about how food connects us in a global way. For example, knowing where the history of where that food item came from and why we eat it in a certain way. Why is there different versions of certain food in different culture? Sometimes certain food has such cultural meaning to different cultures that it is important to know why people feel a certain way and why this food is the way it is now. We can't just take the food itself and leave the politics behind it. And so, you know, like you go to restaurants like The Keg or other one, Moxie's, they'll have like Thai curry chicken in their menu, and you're like, why is that there? Like, why don't you just make paninis and sandwiches and burgers?
Something more like North American.
Yeah,
something that you know.
Well, like that food item is popular in that menu, and when you eat it, it has a twist to it that caters to their audience. But for me, when I see it, I feel uncomfortable. It's like, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Final presentation, I'm using Kentucky Fried Chicken as the item under study to see how fried chicken came to Asia. You would think that fried chicken is from Asia, but it's not. And in each Asian culture, they have a different spin to it, and it's highly popular there. And Kentucky Fried Chicken is especially successful in Japan and China, and it becomes something completely different than how it's seen here.
And I guess like let's kind of switch gears here and talk a bit more about your material choice or how you approach your work through material. So you kind of start with a concept or you start with an idea, and then what makes you decide this is going to be a performance, this is going to be a video, this is going to be a sculpture. So how do you make that decision when going into a project, or is the material a part of that decision when you come up with a concept?
Well, it's definitely a part of it. I think the material itself is only there to enhance your message and enhance what you want to say. And so to think about how the audience would receive it and what kind of space it's in and the purpose of that project too. For the residency here, it's to engage with the community. And so the engagement, I thought, should be direct interaction. There's no better way to get people to tell you things than to talk to them and ask them. And they'll tell you. Like, I think in your artwork, you know, people might feel a certain way and then they walk away, or they might not. But in this case, because it is research, I think sometimes it might be hard to even put it into words, and so it's easier to ask them and to guide them through that sort of train of thoughts, to bring out the subconscious, or like what they're thinking about.
And a painting wouldn't necessarily do that.
No, it wouldn't. Painting has a different purpose.
Yeah.
And so there's that, and then the final presentation, for it being performance reading, it's something that I knew from the beginning that I wanted for it to be a reading, because I think the performance itself will include eating the chicken and listening, and me reading, and I think it's very much like how you would share and eat with people.
Right.
People tell you stories, and you're eating, you're chatting, but in this case, I'm speaking to you.
So it's like an exchange of like listening, speaking, eating, and sharing, all kind of in one.
Yeah, all of that, and also hoping to create a new experience or a new memory of what fried chicken is.
Right.
Yeah.
Or to just think about it differently.
Think about it differently when you eat it again.
Yeah, because I mean, we see it now, and it's sort of, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's
to take it out of context, and sort of that's kind of the idea of making this into an art piece where it's not in its normal context. It's in someone else's perspective and someone else's kind of view. And so I wonder if maybe someone from China sees your performance, how their thoughts would be versus if I walked in and seen it.
Yeah, it would all be very different. I think everyone would come with different expectations and leave with sort of the same message given, and they take whatever they can, and that builds onto their experience of fried chicken.
We'll have a final presentation on July 12th.
July 12th.
And what time is that? Do you know the time?
That's at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay,
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that we go see that presentation.
Yeah.
So Olivia will be doing a reading, and there'll also be some fried chicken there, so you can enjoy that and enjoy the company of others, and that should be really fun. Is there anything else that like we can maybe look forward to, and like seeing where you're going after this? Or
Yeah. So after this in Edmonton, I'll take that same project to Vancouver at Center A. This presentation will also be part of their current exhibition called I Know What You Are, But What Am I? Yeah, curated by Joni Jern.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And so when is that? Is that like
That's
duration?
the show. I don't know the duration, but I know what time I'm performing.
Okay.
July 19.
Oh, it's like right after.
Yeah, it's the week after.
Oh,
July 19
nice.
at 7.
Okay.
Should be right.
Nice. So if you're in Vancouver, go.
Or Edmonton.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. And then you're going back to Hong Kong after that.
Yes.
Okay. And then we won't see you for a little while.
Yeah.
We'll have to go to
Bye.
Hong Kong. All right. Well, thank you for sitting with me. And
No problem.
yeah, I guess we'll spend as much time with you as we can while you're here, and then go to your final presentation.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah. Cheers. Nice, quick.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You okay with chopstick or you want fork?
Chopsticks are good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I won't work.
Oh.